What's up, Weirdo Swarm? You are listening to Polygon Infinity, the podcast that opens the door to all things King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. Happy Field of Vision Week, everybody. My name is Joe.
Woo! And my name is Spenser. Joe, listeners, if I may, just briefly, the season's upon us. It's that time of year. King Gizzard live shows with plenty to hear. The Gizz heads will pack into venues so tight, rocking and raving under bright-colored lights. With Stu and Joey up front and Ambi nearby, performing so sweetly they'll grow wings and fly.
Oh my goodness.
Cookie's there too, and Lukey and Calves will lay down polyrhythms like they never have. With all of this energy, the swarm will not settle, especially while waiting for alien metal.
Oh my god. All right, is that it? Can I clap now?
That is a yes, you can clap now.
Okay,
You
all
may
right,
applaud.
yes. Very nice, very nice. Did you write that yourself, or did you find that somewhere?
No, I wrote that entirely myself. I've definitely heard the cliche "seasons upon us." It's that time of year before, but that just popped into my head this morning while drinking my coffee, and I'm like, you know what? I'm gonna do a thing, and I think I did that thing.
That's awesome. You please post that on our socials. I think people would get a kick out of that and help build the excitement as the dates approach. Yes. So today, as you can probably tell from that lovely poetic introduction from Spenser there, we are talking about the upcoming shows. When this episode is released, if you're hearing this episode right as it's coming out, that means we are just 2 days away from Field of Vision. Yeah, 2 days away.
Yeah.
So there's a lot of excitement about that. Just to be clear, the two of us are not attending Field of Vision. It was just too much to make it work for either of us. It's a lot of travel, a lot of things to consider, and we just weren't locked in for it ahead of time. So maybe eventually one of these years I'll get around to it. But we are getting to attend one of the Forest Hill shows in New York, and we're very excited for that. So we're going to be talking about just the excitement and predictions and hopes, and also reminiscing and going over some of the stats and the different things we got last year at both Forest Hills and the inaugural Field of Vision. So we're very excited to talk about that stuff today.
Yeah, definitely. Before we go further, as always, just a reminder and encouragement, if you're not already, follow us on all the socials. We're on Instagram, Bluesky, Facebook. You can also email us, polygoninfinity@gmail.com. Also, we're trying to do better reminding you, share the show with a friend or with an acquaintance that you think likes the band or might like the content. Something fun I actually wanted to share with you, Joe. I got the UPS driver that stops by my workplace every day. I got him listening to the show recently.
Oh, no way.
I think he just recently started the Fishing for Fishies episode way back near the beginning there. So shout out to Sean, the UPS driver. Glad you're listening to the show and maybe a future member of the Weirdo Swarm.
All right, shout out Sean. Thank you. Oh, that reminds me, speaking of Fishing for Fishies, our first ever album discussion that we did you realize that we recently passed the 2-year anniversary of our podcast here?
You know what? I did, and I just facepalmed to myself because I'm like, God, we didn't post or anything about it.
Nope.
We did last year. Happy belated podiversary to the two of us.
Happy belated, 2-year podiversary. Yeah, I had the thought it was August 2nd or 3rd the other day, and I was like, oh shit, I totally missed it. Our first ever release was on July 31st of 2024. So just missed it. But anyway, thank you to everybody who's stuck along with us, whether you're a newer listener or you've been here since the beginning. Thanks so much for sharing the excitement of this band's music with us. Also, one of the recent episodes we did, I think it was our Level 5 reaction episode recently, I mentioned that if you follow us on social media, you will have seen that for months now, we've had this new logo, we've had lots of awesome new artwork for the show, and we have updated that on all of the streaming platforms, and it updated seamlessly everywhere, except for Apple Podcasts for some reason, and it turned out it was an issue with the size of the image, so we resized it and re-uploaded it, and it still didn't work, and we're still getting errors back that it's the wrong size, even though we've tried it 3 times now, changing it to fit the credentials and putting it in. So there's some kind of weird disconnect where we set the size to the right exact pixel resolution that it requires, and then we submit it, and it doesn't update. And I reached out to people and their support, and they're like, "Oh, this file doesn't fit the dimensions." I'm like, "Okay, on your end it doesn't. We're looking at different numbers because to us it was exactly what it was supposed to be." Anyway,
Yeah.
I'm just saying this because I mentioned it before, and so if you use Apple Podcasts and you're still seeing our simple older design for our logo, apologies, but it might just end up staying like that there because Apple is just an awful thing to deal with, and it's really frustrating because I use Apple Podcasts personally, so seeing my own show's logo just be the old one and not the nice newer artwork that we updated everything else to is very frustrating. But just throwing that out there. But if you use Apple Podcasts and you haven't seen our new artwork, follow us on the socials. You'll see it there and can appreciate the fine work that our friend Andrew did for us on that.
As I made reference to at the top of the show at the end of my poem that I hastily typed out this morning, we, of course, recently got the new single from the Gizz, the title track off the upcoming Alien Metal album, of course, entitled Alien Metal.
Water, fire, water, fire, water, fire, clouds and ice.
Yeah, it would be wrong of us to just kind of skip over that and only talk about the upcoming live shows today. So before we get into the Field of Vision hype and Forest Hills and all that stuff, let's talk a little bit about this single. We did a whole episode with our thoughts on the first single, Level 5, as well as just kind of the general album announcement and our hopes and predictions for that. But we're just going to do a brief little chat here about this title track that was released. So this song, Alien Metal, released on July 28th. So it has been out for, well, by the time this episode's out, about 2 weeks or so. I love it. It's great. It's got me really excited for this album. I will just say in general, before getting into some specifics that I like about it and some certain things, I just want to generally say, I feel like it didn't immediately grip me the way Level 5 did. But I think that might be in part just because Level 5 was the first taste of this sound, and it was the excitement of going from nothing to here's a single and album announcement. And so
Sure.
I was so much more excited in that moment. Whereas with this one, I already knew about the album. I expected there'd be at least a second single at some point, and I've already come to know what the sound is. Like Level 5 gave me everything I need to know about what the album is probably going to sound like, and this song very much does fit that same sound. So I think that's all it is like, not that the song's necessarily worse or not as good in any way. It's just that it's not as fresh because I'm already kind of at a point where I know what to expect. So
Sure.
But in general, I think it's a great song. I think it's got a lot of the same energy and style to it. And I'm digging it. So Spencer, what about you? I'm going to let you jump in and talk about it a bit.
Yeah, man, I'm digging it a lot too. It's very upbeat like Level 5, but noticeably brighter. That was the defining characteristic to me. It was less dark. I say is still less dark and heavy compared to Level 5. And I like that they kind of dropped two kind of similar tempo, similarly upbeat songs for the first two singles, but a couple of different feels in that way. And I think partly responsible for the lighter feel, the brighter feel, is the vocoded vocals, who I believe are from Ambrose and Joey. It's going to be really hard until we get like official confirmation and whatnot on who is actually singing through these crazy distorted vocoder effects. But my suspicion is that Level 5 is Stu. Something about that deeper register that Stu has gone to in more recent years, that seems to fit his vibe lately. And then Ambrose, I think, is the one saying water, fire here on Alien Metal, and then Joey is doing the transforming through the slipstream, rebirth, reborn, interstellar reality, and then the astral blacksmith part as well.
Okay.
Again, this could be totally proven wrong with the passage of time, but that's just kind of what I'm thinking and feeling. Also, I should note, part of my reason for this conclusion is the writing credits. If you go to the writing credits on the kglw.net page, you will notice in this order the credits go to Ambrose, Joey, Stu. One thing that I've noticed throughout Gizz history is that oftentimes, I don't think it's always 100% of the time, but usually I would say the lead writing credit is the person who sings the lead vocals. And so that's part of why I drew the conclusion that that's Ambrose kind of leading the way vocally here. But, time will tell, I guess, if that's actually true.
Yeah, that's interesting how you got kind of just sort of a hunch about it in that way. I honestly haven't really thought about it that much. I know we had the same kind of discussion on the Level 5 episode, wondering kind of who's singing what, and I just kind of assume that it's Stu and Joey because they do most of the vocals, and they're the ones that I see really kind of toying with the synthesizer stuff more than anyone else.
Yeah.
But who knows? Only time will tell. Hopefully we'll get sort of a breakdown of the credits track by track and kind of see who's singing what parts.
I will say also that that this era of Gizz is going to continue to challenge me as a podcaster and as a kind of a novice music student of music, I guess, because it was clear in the episode where we discussed Level 5 that I don't yet know how to speak intelligently about this subgenre of music. Terms like drum and bass, breakcore, the amen break that you talked about and that a listener talked about. I'm very much in progress learning all this stuff in real time. So don't get me wrong, I'm not dreading it. I'm very excited to learn a lot of new stuff, but this is not only a new era for the band, this is going to be a new era for yours truly, in terms of sort of being an amateur music critic and maybe to yourself as an extent as well.
So a couple particular moments of this track for me to point out. I like the repetition of the wata fire, which I spelled out here as WATUH and FIUH as wata and fire.
You got it.
I think it's fun, and it definitely gives it kind of a lighter feel, like you said. My only critique of that section is the last line before it transitions where he just says clouds of ice. I feel like that feels like it falls a little short at the end of that repetition. Like the line just saying clouds of ice, the rhythm of it and everything just doesn't hit that hard. And I feel like there could have maybe been something a little better there. But to speak on a section that I really, really love about this song is the first time we hear it's at a minute 47, the section with the really low, deep vocoded vocals. Astral Blacksmith, won't you give me a fix? I promise I can keep it a secret.
Astral Blacksmith, won't you give me a fix? I promise I can keep it a secret. Astral Blacksmith, won't you give me a fix? I promise I can keep it a secret.
And just, I don't know, the flow of it, it's fast, it's this deep synthesized voice. I just love the way that sounds, and I know you said you get the feeling that's maybe Joey on that section there, so possibly I could see that. I don't know. I love the sound of that. The way the vocals sound just really hit harder for me than some of the higher pitched sections. I also really like at 2 minutes 27 seconds, the music gets kind of quiet in the mix, and there's just a strong focus on the water, fire, repeated vocals.
Yeah.
Water, fire, water, fire, water, fire.
And it's really cool to hear them in that way, like not totally isolated, but like given this spotlight where the music gets real quiet and you just hear them really clean and sharp. And I just really like that as a nice little break in the song. And that's it for my, couple particular standout moments. Like I said, overall, I dig the track. It's high energy. It's a ton of fun, just like Level 5. And what else can I say? I'm so stoked to hear this full album when it comes out.
Yeah, you actually had a couple of the same little bullet points and standout moments that I did there, so I won't repeat it word for word, obviously. I will piggyback off the second one, though, where the vocals are like semi-isolated there toward the middle of the track. I like when the synthesizers pick back up and it's kind of that boo, woo, 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 and then followed by the part that sounds almost microtonal,
Yeah.
That is a huge standout part to me on this track. But this one is such a different feel from Level 5 that I can't get over. And it's reassuring to me that there's going to be enough variety on this record for even a lot of the people who either don't love techno or who maybe are kind of newbies to techno, such as myself. I've never been one that's had anything against techno. I've just never explored it deeply. I think something like that, like having enough variety and not anything too any one feel or vibe that stays too long on the record to kind of lull the newbies to sleep. I think I feel reassured at this stage that there's going to be enough variety to kind of keep us listeners on our toes and make it potentially the next excellent Gizz record. So now that we've given our thoughts and feelings initially on the Alien Metal single, we all wanted to hear what you had to say, and we had 3 people reach out on socials, beginning with good old Mike, the Mike side on Instagram, who said, "They done did it again. Wata, fire." This track is more in tune to what Stu has been doing on his solo shows. There's a lot of parts in this that I could have easily listened to for another 10 more minutes, which probably will be the case for the live versions. They did the same with Level 5, where it felt very on the rails and considered, but you just know they'll be expanding them live and will be insane. As a Silver Cord apologist from the start, this release has me over the moon. Amen to that, Mike.
Nice. I like the term silver cord apologist. That's great. Awesome. Thank you, Mike. We got just 2 more. They are coming from Bluesky. ToeX Alive, or Tokes Alive, apologies if I'm not saying your username right, says, "Drum and bass. I wouldn't expect it, which is exactly what I expect from them." Love it. Yep, I couldn't have said it better myself. Expect the unexpected with Gizz, always. Yeah. And from our other friend, Quetzalcoatlus Wellness Institute, who reaches out to us pretty frequently, says, "Oh yeah, drooling at the thought of this live. Can't wait. Gizzy Space Edge, which really puts their mark on EDM, starting to sound more like them than any influence, like people were saying, heavy Prodigy influence in Level 5. So I think what you're saying here is like, it's starting to sound more like this is Gizz doing their thing and less comparable to artists like the Prodigy and other things like Level 5 was. So I'm excited to hear them come into their own with this sound and do it their own way. And not to say that Level 5 doesn't sound unique or doesn't sound very Gizz. It does sound very Gizz in a lot of ways. But just so cool to hear them taking this on and doing it in their own Gizz way. Let's move into the other topic at hand here that we introduced right at the beginning of the show. Let's talk about Field of Vision. It's coming up this week, the week that this episode releases. And as I said, we're not going to be there, but I think we are both going to be part of the couch tour streaming audience, just like we were last year. We spent a lot of time watching the live streams as much as we could. And of course, because that's 2 time zones away from us, the shows go pretty late. It gets pretty late here for us while we're watching, being 2 hours ahead of Colorado time. But if at least it's on the weekend, right? So I could stay up and just kind of have it on while I'm doing other things and chilling before I go to sleep. I remember last year at one point actually having the stream on, like literally on my TV in bed as I'm falling asleep. I just fell asleep to it and kept kind of like opening my eyes like, wait, what song are they playing? Oh, okay, and then I go back to sleep. It just kind of had like an in and out, like falling asleep to it, but it was hard to sleep to it.
Drifting in and out of sleep.
Yes, pretty much. That would have been the perfect song to come on while I was in bed. Anyway, so Field of Vision begins this Friday, the 14th of August, and I just want to give a general call to everyone listening. Because we aren't going to be there, we would love to hear all about it. So please, if you're listening to this right now and you're going to be attending FOV, please hit us up either while you're there or after and give us the scoop. We need people on the inside to share all the excitement with us so we can live vicariously through you since we can't be there. As I said, we're attending the Saturday night show at Forest Hills. We'll talk about Forest Hills in a little bit after FOV. So we're at least getting to see them at some point on the short little run of shows they're doing this summer. So if you're listening to this show, you're a big enough Gizz fan, you should already know what Field of Vision is and when and where it's happening, but I'm just going to go over that briefly anyway, just in case. Field of Vision, this year, this is the 2nd annual 3-day King Gizzard Music Festival. The first one was last year. That was its inaugural run, and they brought it back this year to many people's excitement and elation. It's taking place once again at Meadow Creek in Buena Vista, Colorado, which I actually passed through that town earlier this year. I have a friend that lives in Colorado, and I was visiting in March, and we kind of drove around the state, going to some different places. There was another town we stayed in, kind of in the mountains, that for a specific event we were going to see. And one of the places we passed through on our travels was Buena Vista. I think I took a photo of, a sign that said Buena Vista or something, and posted it to our show's Instagram story. And I think I captioned it like, "Oh, I'm just a few months too early for Field of Vision. Like, I'm getting in line early, getting ready." But yeah, it was really funny. It was a funny coincidence. I'm telling my friend while he's driving us, I'm like, "Dude, this is where the King Gizzard Festival is. That's so cool that we're just happen to be passing through this town out of all of the places in the big, great state of Colorado we could have driven through. That was one of them." So really interesting, but there was absolutely nothing going on there in the winter time while I was there. Anyway, this year it's taking place from August 14th through 16th. There are about 25 acts to my count. If I was counting properly, I was just counting each thing off of the poster for the festival. But 25 acts outside of Gizz's performance. And King Gizzard, once again, they're playing all 3 nights as the headliner each day. So they will be the last act of all 3 days, which is the same thing they did last year. And if I remember correctly, I think they did about 2 hours each day last year. So I'm expecting about the same.
Yeah, there are so many cool looking and cool sounding acts on the bottom of that poster that I would really enjoy the opportunity to see one day. I will be honest, many of them I am not familiar with their music. In fact, I would say probably like 80% of those artists I unfortunately am not familiar with at all. A couple of them that do stand out to me, though, who I am familiar with, of course, Angine de Poitrine, which kind of took the Gizzverse and everything Gizz adjacent by storm in the past year or so.
Oh, yeah.
Blood Incantation, who I've plugged on the show before, some music that I've enjoyed over the past couple of years.
Oh, yeah.
And of course, Joey Bolant, Joey's little electronic side project. There are some theories, by the way, that maybe Joey's going to do some stuff with Blood Incantation there at Field of Vision.
Oh.
Time will tell, as always. And beyond that, yeah, not a lot that I recognize other than, of course, Jello Biafra of Dead Kennedys, somebody who Stu especially has looked up to for a long, long time.
Oh, yep. He was there with them last year.
Yeah, he was there. He was up on stage, performed a little bit. And of course, La Luz, who we are all familiar with. Thank you.
I haven't heard that in so long, but that was, we've already talked about that. That was a big meme. It was like every time you finish listening to a Gizz album on Spotify, if you have autoplay on, it would just play Floating Features by La Luz.
Yeah.
Maybe I should go back and listen to that. It's been a long time since I've heard that.
But between all of those additional acts joining Gizz at Field of Vision and the looking back at the set list from last year, God, there is just like, we're obviously not going to get into too minute details here because there's a lot we need to get to on this episode. But hell of a way to open. They did last year with kind of a Nonagon Infinity suite with Gamma Knife, People Vultures, Mr. Beat. And then it went on and on from there. And eventually, Sunday evening, they finished with Float Along, Fill Your Lungs, and The Dripping Tap. I don't think you could finish it with a couple more beautiful tunes than those. But yeah, obviously go on kglw.net. They have all the set lists from every single date throughout the band's history, and definitely worth looking back at these Field of Vision songs they performed last year. And, depending on how the no repeats rule works for this particular scenario, I don't know what that ends up looking like, but I'm sure they have enough songs to pull from. There's going to be enough variety between this year and last year, of course.
Yeah, if they don't play any of the same songs as last year, there's definitely, that means there's going to be some huge tracks that get missed out. So I'm guessing there's going to be some repeats from last year, but that they're going to do the same thing where each night is totally unique. They're not going to play any of the same songs from a previous night, but they're going to have to play some of the songs they played last year. There's just too many big ones, like the few that you already mentioned. It'd be hard for them to pass up on not doing it all. I just want to say I'm looking at the poster again just to see if there was any other artists besides the ones you mentioned that I'm most excited for. D Spitz is a band I've listened to a little bit. I've been meaning to check out more of their music. They're an all-female, kind of punkish, kind of metal rock band. They have a couple songs I've heard and that really fucking rip, and I've been meaning to listen to them more. They're also opening, I believe, for the first 2 nights at Forest Hills. And, of course, we're going on the 3rd night, which is the rave show night that I don't think has any opener. So I'm going to be missing out on them unless I last minute end up getting a ticket and going to the night before. I don't know. Also don't know if I want to drive back and forth to New York twice in a row. But anyway, I think they're going to be cool. I'm looking forward to seeing their set on the stream. And there's some other interesting stuff on here. Like, okay, acid yoga was a thing they did last year, which is that literally just people drop acid and do yoga, like, out in the grass. I don't know. There's a Cavs gong bath. I don't think that happened last year, did it?
No, I don't believe so.
That's something I need to keep an eye on the schedule and check that out as long as that's on the stream to see what that is. Yeah, there's a whole bunch of interesting stuff. Jay Weinberg is going to be there, who is he's been the drummer in a few bands. He was the drummer of Slipknot for quite a little while.
Yeah.
And he's good friends with the guys. He seems to be a big fan of their stuff and has popped in and filled in on drums a handful of times in the last couple tours, which is really cool. So it's going to be nice to see him there and see what he's up to. It says Jay Weinberg's Drum Clinic specifically is what he's doing. So that's going to be really cool. So yeah, there's a lot of amazing stuff happening, a lot of great artists that there's a lot of crossover in the fandom with. So I think a lot of people are excited for this festival this year.
Yeah. Really quick here. As far as Cavs Gong Bath, here's what I think it's going to be. I think it's going to be kind of a meditation session where maybe Cavs will play like different sized gongs in just these really subtle, like beautiful meditative ways, and it'll be kind of like yoga, like it'll be maybe adjacent to that acid yoga session, whatever.
Yeah.
Here's what I wish Cavs Gong Bath was. I wish it would be Cavs in like a standalone old-fashioned clawfoot bathtub, just filled with bubbles, with just his head and his arms poking out, and just hitting the gong recklessly. Bam, bam,
Just
bam,
hitting a gong, yeah.
Just in the tub, maybe with a little rubber ducky by his side. That's what I wish it would be.
Let's get Cavs in the bathtub on stage.
Cavs in the bathtub 26.
Put that on a shirt. You're welcome, bootleggers. Just to give a couple more stats about Field of Vision last year, I took the liberty of going on setlist.fm and just making note of what albums they played songs from the most each night, and with a couple additional notes about those specific songs, like maybe certain suites they did and things like that. So night 1, the most played album was Mind Fuzz, actually the first 4 tracks of that album back to back, so that whole kind of Mind Fuzz suite from the first bit of that album. They played quite a bit of Nonagon. They actually opened the show that first night, which I think you just mentioned, Spencer, with the first 3 tracks of that album. And then at the end of that first night, they played Evil Death Roll. So once again, 4 songs from Nonagon there. And they also played the entire Horology suite from Polygon Dwanaland. So those are 3 big albums, 3 of the kind of Gizzverse albums people call them, and a lot of crowd favorites in that mix there. So night 1 was off to just a rocking start with some heavy hitter stuff there. Night 2, they played the whole Han Tayumi suite, which I'm so jealous of. I think I was watching live at the time, and it was so fucking hype. And we did our Murder of the Universe album discussion just recently, and I talked about how much I want to hear that suite live more than anything else from that album. So that is really exciting. Once again, they did a few songs from Mind Fuzz. They did Slow Jam 1, as well as Empty, which was the first time they played that since 2014. So that was a big bust out.
Nice bust out,
And
yeah.
they also played Hot Water later on in the set that night. And finally, night 2, they did quite a bit of Petro-Dragonic Apocalypse. They opened with Gila Monster, Flamethrower, and then later on they did the Flamethrower outro section, the electronic part at the end with some Changa teases, apparently. I don't remember that, but sounds awesome. That was a note on the setlist page there. I think night 2 was also the most dynamic of the nights. I am seeing that there were tracks played that night from 14 different albums, which is just a crazy statistic. Like they played for like 2 hours and there were songs from 14 different albums. Absolutely insane. And the other nights, I think there was like 11 or 12 different albums that they played songs from. So not that far off on the other nights too.
Wild.
Finally, night 3, there were 3 songs from the Silver Chord, which were Thea, Set, and the title track. And then there's a bit of a tie for second and third place because there's a whole bunch of albums that got 2 songs each after that. So there was 2 songs from B741, Rat's Nest, LW, Omnium Gatherum, Paper Mache, and Petro. So each of those albums that I just named, they had 2 songs from each of them played. In total, from last year's Field of Vision, there were songs from 19 different albums played, which means that there was an entire 8 albums that they didn't play anything from, and those 8 are 12 Bar Bruise, Eyes Like the Sky, Quarters, Sketches, Butterfly 3000, Laminated Denim, Made in Timeland, and Changes. All of those albums that I just named didn't get a single song played from them at the last Field of Vision, so one of my big hopes from this year is that we get to hear some of those albums that they didn't play at all last year.
Yeah.
For me, especially, I would love to hear some more. Sketches would be cool. They bust out some of those songs once in a while. I mentioned Quarters they didn't play at all. Everyone's still waiting for God Is in the Rhythm, so let's leave that one out there again as another hope. And more changes would be awesome as well. So yeah, there's a lot of stuff there that they didn't do that I would love to see this time around. All right, so that's about it, I think, for our Field of Vision discussion today. It was kind of a brief overview of last year and what we're looking forward to for this time around a little bit. If you want to learn more about Field of Vision and all the stuff that happened last year from somebody that was actually there and is a massive, massive King Gizzard fan, listen to the episode that I did interviewing Ben Bacon. If you could find that in our episode catalog from last year. It was last August or maybe September when we recorded a little after Field of Vision wrapped up. I spoke to Ben about his experience there and just some of his fun, crazy stories and highlights and favorite moments of the sets and everything. So if you didn't get to be there and you want to learn more about it, please listen to that episode. It was so fun learning more from the perspective of someone who was actually there of what the festival was like. So do check that out.
All right. Thank you for the Field of Vision roundup there, Joe. I know this year, as you said, Couch Tour 26, we'll both be enjoying this. I'm actually going to be down the shore during the time that this is going on, so I'll be down the Jersey Shore probably
nice.
Watching these live sets from the comfort of the balcony at the rental place we'll be staying at, enjoying that nice sea breeze.
And bring a nice big Bluetooth speaker down to the beach and just sit there.
I'll
just
be
sit
that
there
guy.
On your own, jamming out all night. You'll be the only guy on the beach at night, jamming out.
Oh, yeah, at that hour, nobody to bother. True.
Yeah, there'd be nobody there. You could just have your own little time there. Yeah.
All right. So yeah, again, good stuff. Field of Vision. If you're going, please hit us up and let us know, what you're looking forward to most, or if you're there, hit us up in real time if you want to or are able to, and say, "Oh, tonight was so sick." Yada yada. We would love to hear all that.
Yes.
Or if you want to wait till it's all over and give us kind of an all-encompassing rundown, please do that. We're going to do kind of a roundup episode later on, for sure. Joe, so as we wrap up this section of the show, it's time to talk about the one that we are actually going to be going to, the leg of the tour that takes the boys to New York City. Forest Hills, baby.
Yeah, we are very excited for that. Of course, if you've been listening for a bit and heard us talk, you know that we live in the Philadelphia area, and they are not coming to Philly this year. They are not doing a big full U.S. tour outside of these 2 chunks of shows, but New York is fortunately not too far away from us, so we are going to make it up there specifically for the rave show night, which I think is going to be really exciting, and I'm even more excited for that now that we have Alien Metal coming out very soon. So there's going to be hopefully some new material for us to listen to there and enjoy live and see how well that goes in a live setting. And I'm guessing the album will be out by then. I don't even know. Maybe they'll release it that weekend and it'll be brand new for that weekend of shows with the rave shows they're doing and stuff. But so the Forest Hill shows are the week after Field of Vision. They are Thursday, August 20th to Saturday the 22nd. The first 2 nights are regular shows, and Saturday night is the rave show, like I said. And then that Sunday, after the Forest Hill shows, the 23rd, they are playing another show in New York, a rave show under the K Bridge Park in Brooklyn. And I had to look this up on GPS because I'm like, is it literally just some weird spot under a bridge. And kind of, yeah, that's kind of what it looks like.
Yeah.
It's like this little park under a main highway interchange or something. And that's in Brooklyn. And if it's live streamed, I'm definitely going to be watching because I'm really curious what that setting is going to be like. It looks like such a bizarre place for a show like this. I really don't know how that's going to go.
Yeah, that's going to be kind of wild. Looking at it on maps here, it's under the Brooklyn-Queens Expressway, which, yeah, is a very major kind of a expressway interchange area. And the K Bridge, it's short for the, and I apologize profusely here for native New Yorkers, I don't know how to pronounce this, the Kosciuszko Bridge. It looks like a Polish name, if I'm not mistaken. I assume one of the city's founding fathers or a person who was instrumental in the development of that part of New York City. And probably the bridge's architect, I would assume is
that's a good guess.
The person this is named after. But for short, the K Bridge is easy enough. But yeah, point being that this is going to be quite a wild sight for a show. Really curious to hear what people have to say about this one, especially for that fun, unhinged rave setting. It's going to be nuts. And of course, this year's Forest Hills stay for the band is going to be quite a bit different from last year. Last year, you may recall that the orchestra tour was kind of the big deal last year, 2025. And partly as a result of that, the band's stay in Forest Hills was only 2 nights. First night, August 1st, was the orchestra show. We went the following night, Joe, of course, to the rock show because we had gone to the orchestra show in Philly, which was the first orchestra show. It was so special and so cool.
That's right.
To be a part of that night, of that debut. Just a magical evening. We did an episode on that, so go back and listen if you haven't already. And so we knew that we had to get a taste of the traditional kind of rock Gizz, and we got a hell of a set that opened up with some heavy metal. We got Gaia, Predator X, Supercell, and Superbug. Both of the supers back-to-back was nice in the 3 and 4 slots there. Some microtonals there, Minimum Brain Size, Odd Life, and then the Nathan section of the show brought us Sense, which has been an interesting little quirky, played on the synth table, sort of distortion from its original form song.
Yes.
And then the Grim Reaper, Ambrose came to center stage, and then Set and Extinction to wrap up that middle section. We, of course, did a whole spiel on this show that you can go back and listen to if you want. I will say a big standout to me was Wah Wah into Road Train.
Oh, yeah.
We did not get any Nonagon at the Philly show in 2024 that we went to, and I remember being a little bit disappointed in that. And of course, with the nature of this band and its catalog, you're not going to get everything every night, so you're going to luck out with some things, you're going to get unlucky with others. And so I was really happy to have gotten a couple of Nonagons. And if I had to mention maybe one other standout part of the show, it was Hypertension to close it all out. A nice, long banger rendition of Hypertension. I don't think it's one that they bust out too often, or they play too often live. And I don't have the stats in front of me for that at the moment, but really felt special to see a show end on that. Yeah,
that was certainly a big finish, super high energy. When we did our episode not too long ago talking about Laminated Denim, I remember mentioning that I think Hypertension goes so hard live. I think it's better live than it is on the album. They play it faster, they play it heavier with more distortion and stuff, and they're screaming the words to it. So that was really special to see live. I love that one as a closer.
Also, not to gloss over a little bit of an X factor, kind of a secondary highlight for me was kind of the classic rock block that I'm calling it, was right before Hypertension. Ambergris, Sad Pilot, Rats in the Sky. That just scratched my classic rock itch so well. I remember Ambergris kind of had this chill, meandering, extended opening to it, like longer than the intro, as I recall, that's on the album for Ambergris. And then I seem to remember, Joe, that when Sad Pilot was ending, and you and I kind of looked at each other like we're kind of miming the opening keys to Rats in the Sky, bump, 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 like wishing and hoping they would play it next. And when they actually did fucking do it, we were just like, yeah!
Yeah, there's no way, like, obviously we've talked on and on so many times about how their songs just flow into one another so much on many of their records, and that's certainly one of them. That's one of those moments that just, it had to be there, otherwise it would feel so unfinished. But I will say The other downside to that is at the end of Rats in the Sky, you imagine the start of Daily Blues, and then that didn't happen. So that was a little bit like, oh, it's missing one more little thing, but that's okay. That's all right. I think we
did get Daily Blues in Philly in 24.
Okay, that's what I was just thinking. I'm glad you said that. I was like,
so.
I feel like we heard Daily Blues at one of the shows in the last couple years, so we've gotten to hear it, so that's okay. Also, there's just, you mentioned pretty much all of the set except for 2 songs, so kind of in between that Wah Wah Road Train section and then the classic rock block, as you called it, we got Let Me Mend the Past and Altered Beast 4, 2 very different songs back to back. Let Me Mend the Past, of course, with Ambrose taking center stage was just lovely. That's a really great song live as well, and a nice little break from some of the heavier chaos that was on either end of that, being Road Train and Altered Beast 4. I wouldn't mind hearing a little more Murder of the Universe at some point, but Altered Beast 4, if you're going to play any of Altered Beast, that's the best one to do, so I was super hype about that.
And since we are attending this show ourselves, we both came up with kind of little short lists, wish lists, if you will, of songs that we hope to hear. Level 5 is obviously at the top. The place is going to go off at Forest Hills Rave Night. Not if they play it, when they play it. I am convinced they're going to.
They have to.
Without kind of knowing the structure and the feel of the rest of the album, it just feels like Level 5 is a must for each of the rave shows. Maybe there's a chance they don't play it under the K-Bridge Park if they do it at Forest Hills. But I think it's going to be a mainstay of rave set lists for years to come because that single was so well received. Next up on my rave wish list, kind of expecting the band to continue to work in those traditionally rock songs into the synth format. Slow Jam 1, I have talked about on the show before as one of my favorite kind of translated into the synth table songs. Slow Jam 1 just sounds so beautiful in that setting. I want to witness that one in person. Smoke and Mirrors, I would really enjoy because remember when we talked about Made in Timeland, when we talked on that episode, and we just loved every minute talking about Ambi's rap and kind of reenacting or lip syncing it for the reel that we put out around that time. I think I knew at least, and maybe you feel similar, Joe, that this is one that we eventually want to see live as well. And then I have 2 more on my list. Changa. Where the hell has Changa been since the Silver Accord came out? They've played it only 6 times total, the first 5 of which were all in 2024, and they only played it once on the 25 tour. That was in Athens. That song is slept on, and I feel like it could be another one of those kind of easy breathing, ethereal songs on the table.
Yeah.
And then on the flip side of that, Swan Song, but please, with the caveat, soup it the fuck back up.
Yes.
I think they've gone with such an emphasis on just making Swan Song dark in recent performances that San Francisco 24, one of my favorite live shows of all time from the band, that was kind of what they billed as their experimental rave set when they were still kind of building Nathan up. They had like this insane beat drop in Swan Song. That is noticeably absent from almost all, if not all, of recent Swan Song iterations. So I want that beat drop back. I want the place to go nuts. And it just doesn't seem to happen as much with the emphasis on darkness with that one lately. I'm going to cheat here real quick. Anything Butterfly 3000, of course, I will welcome so much. It doesn't happen frequently. In fact, it obviously just happened on the last tour with a couple of those Butterfly songs making their live debuts. Please, boys, make it happen.
Yeah, I've got quite a bit of overlap in my hopes for this year with you. Like you mentioned, Level 5 would be awesome in general. I'm just excited to hear some new material, so anything from the new album will be really exciting, but especially Level 5 because that's the one we've gotten to familiarize ourselves with the most so far. Also, you mentioned Swan Song and Changa. Yeah, those are 2 that I don't think I have yet to hear either of them live as far as any of the Silver Chord stuff goes. And Swan Song extended mix towards the middle of the song when they repeat the eye dilates, the air gyrates from Dragon.
Yes.
That part of that song sends fucking chills down my spine. I just listened to it yesterday in the car, and it's like I can't not like slam on the gas and fucking speed to it when that kicks off. It is so like just visceral and just makes me want to go apeshit. So if I can hear like Swan Song with that section of it, and if they can nail that build up and then those words and then the fucking drop, the place will fucking burn to the ground. Like, please do it. Please do that. Oh my god. That's my hell. Yeah, welcome to hell. That's so nuts. It and I love those lyrics in general. Like when you hear that in Dragon, it's so sick. It's so just gnarly, and that's I think a favorite lyric for a lot of people. Like just hearing the eye dilates, it's just oh my god. But
I feel the same way about that specific section though.
Yeah, but on that song, oh my god, it's just nuts. So I want that in particular at Forest Hills Rave Night, please. And like you, I'm hoping for more Butterfly 3000. I'm still really holding out hope for a Catching Smoke debut. So, crossing my fingers for that. I mean, if they do it at all, I'll be happy. But if I get to hear it at the show that we are attending, especially, that would be really, really nice, really special. And I want more synth versions of metal tracks, please. I want those heavy, heavy songs to get the Nathan treatment. Would just be cool. I didn't really write down any in particular, but really just any of the stuff from Petro, from Rat's Nest, if you could do them, or maybe like, I don't know, Great Chain of Being or something like that in a synth kind of hype, high energy rave sort of format would be really sick. That's another big one for me that I'm hoping for.
Just off the top of the dome here, when it comes to metal tracks on the table, Planet B could be really, really interesting. I don't know if they can or will make it happen, but part of me is hoping that we can look back on this conversation from weeks and months past when it maybe does one day happen and be like, hey, Spenser was onto something.
Yeah, right.
But
yeah, you were right.
That's just off the top of the head. That one could sound cool. Who knows? Next up, of course, is the Australia shows. King Gizz are going back to their homeland. They announced it on July the 27th, the day before the Alien Metal single dropped, that they're going to be doing 5 dates in their native Australia. It's going to be 5 shows between October 13th and 18th in the cities of Thirroul, Sydney, and Melbourne. Of course, as they are wont to do, finishing things up in their home city of Melbourne. That's always such a cool thing. You know, you get off a long tour, you're in your hometown, your home area, and then boom, you call it quits on that last show, you get off the stage, go home, clean up, hit your favorite restaurant, pass out. Right. It's not a crazy like cross-continental flight or overseas flight. Always a good choice when a band decides to do that, I would imagine. By the way, my apologies. Based on my research, the city of Thirroul, I'm pretty sure that's how you pronounce it. Any of the native Aussies listening in, feel free to critique my pronunciation there if you would like. But that Thirroul concert is going to be on October 13th at Anita's Theatre. October the 14th is going to be in Sydney, followed by October the 17th in Melbourne. The Croxton Block Party is going to be kind of the big highlight of that affair, and then the 18th in Melbourne as well. So again, as we did with Field of Vision and Forest Hills, if any of our listeners, I know based on a couple of comments we got, that I think a couple of people in our circle of folks who listen to the pod, we know are attending those. So, please reach out with your experiences, your favorite memories once those shows have been performed. We'd love to hear any and all of it.
So speaking of our listeners' thoughts and predictions and all of that stuff, let's move on to some of our listener messages that we received. We got a lot of feedback from all of you across different social media platforms, giving your favorite moments from last year as well as what you're hoping for the shows this year, whether it's Forest Hills or, like you just mentioned, the Aussie shows, Field of Vision, all of that. So let's move into that now. Spenser, you want to start off some of those?
Okay, so what you all had to say on the live shows upcoming, and in some cases, live shows in the past that you've attended. Let's start with Instagram. Cruising Altitude Radio reached out and said, attending Forest Hills again. Now, I don't know if this is meaning that you've attended their Forest Hills shows in 3 consecutive years, or that repeating of again was just for emphasis. But either way, sounds like you're incredibly excited. Glad to hear it.
Either that, or they mean that they're attending all 3 nights of Forest Hills this year, possibly.
Oh, that could be too. Yeah,
Like they're attending Forest Hills again and again and again, meaning
Yeah.
I think all 3 nights this year. That's my guess.
Let us know. Yeah, we want to know what the actual right answer is here. And Niche Music Memes, which is a big Instagram account out there. Check them out if you haven't before. They definitely kind of dabble in things Gizz versus Jason from time to time. They said, FOV will be my first festival ever. Hoping to hear Dragon. Thank you, Niche Music Memes, for reaching out to a niche account such as ours.
And yeah, niche podcast, yes.
Yeah, well, thank you so much. Yeah, we hope you enjoy, and we hope you get Dragon.
On Instagram, we also heard once again from the Mike side, who was reaching out with their thoughts on the Alien Metal single as well. So thank you once again, Mike, for reaching out. Mike sent quite a long message, and I'm going to read the first chunk and then just kind of summarize, because they gave us a whole bunch of wishes for, live debuts and bust outs and, all of this stuff. But Mike starts with, going to all 4 NYC shows, throwing general thoughts around, FOV no repeats is very likely. Forecast saying it'll be cold and wet. So that's interesting. We'll see how that goes if there's some weather issues. The Australia tour pre-sale code was NY Petro. Could it be a hint to a Petrodragonic full album performance in New York City? Oh my God, I don't know, but I hope you're onto something there. That sounds
very
awesome.
specific.
Of course, that's probably not going to be happening at the rave night that we're there, but if the shows are being streamed, I'll be following along with the first 2 nights for sure. Prediction, the rock shows will have a Nathan segment, but will be for non-rave songs like Garden Goblin or Change with a little eyeball emoji. Maybe I'm leaning more towards that they're going to save all the electronic stuff for the rave night, but it's possible. I mean, Nathan's already going to be there ready to go for rave night, so maybe they wheel him out and do a couple songs, maybe a couple of those, electronic transformations of their rock tunes. Who knows? Mike continues, Forest Hills is due a couple of important songs like Dripping Tap, Evil Death Roll, or the Horology Suite, so I'd say those have a higher chance to be played. And I'm going to read, so Mike has a couple, top wish list songs for New York City. I'll read through those. Dream Opener, Motor Spirit, I love that one. That's a great opener. Dream Closer, Head on Pill, I agree as well. Yes, please. Top wish list songs, The Silver Cord, Thea, Rattlesnake, and Murder of the Universe. Okay, I'm feeling you with some of those. Song I want to avoid, this is interesting. Set, parentheses, at Under the K Bridge. Hot take, I don't dislike the song, I just think it's a bit overplayed and I've seen it twice already. That's fair, I think out of all the Silver Cord songs, that might be up there as maybe the most played, and again, I don't have the stats in front of me right now, but I just get the feeling that is one of the top played, if not the top played from that album, so I could understand you wanting to maybe avoid that and get something different that you haven't heard already. You know what? I've already read most of this. I'll just go quickly through the rest of your list, Mike. Live debuts, wish list, not counting new songs. Mycelium, parentheses, unlikely. I know Spenser is still waiting for that one. You love Mycelium so much. The Land Before Timeland. Yours. Oh, Yours I would love. Black Hot Soup. Evilest Man. And Exploding Suns. All good ones there. Let's see. Let's cross our fingers. And Bust Out's wish list, which I think Bust Outs generally just means like songs they haven't played in a long time, right?
Yeah.
Like more rare kind of songs to bring out. So for Mike's Bust Outs, he's got Some of Us, If Not Now Then When, Real's Not Real, and Deserted Dunes, Welcome Weary Feet, all really good ones. Us with our Fishies fandom, Real's Not Real would be awesome. And the other like microtonal ones you mentioned would be so sick. Mike finishes by just saying, super excited for the tour and to be traveling in a couple weeks to see them. Album should be dropping any moment. Yep, any moment. We're still waiting for it. Really excited for you, Mike. I hope you enjoy all those shows, and maybe we'll get to see you if you're there on Rave Night at all. It would be nice to say hi and meet you there. So thanks so much for reaching out again.
Next up is the Real Bootleg Bastard, who says, FOV and all of New York City have checked flight prices and haven't fully ruled Australia out. Here's my hot take. Surprise Billy Strings appearance and surprise album drop at FOV with records for sale at the P-Doom store there. Same thing will play out in New York, but with Alien Metal. Album drop at Night 3 Forest Hills with a P-Doom store opening there. Full album played between Rave Night and Bridge Show. Oh, and many of the band will stick around and take the stage at the Ionia Freak Fair. Holy shit, a lot to unpack there. But okay, breaking down the earlier parts of that, So you're predicting a Billy Strings appearance and surprise album drop of the Billy Strings rumored collab at Field of Vision, and then Alien Metal dropping at Forest Hills during Forest Hill. That is bonkers, but the timeline,
that is big.
The timeline may not be off, because every Friday lately I've been expecting Alien Metal to drop in full. It didn't happen last week, which I was suspecting it may. It hasn't happened today. It would have happened today if today was the day. It would have happened by now.
Yeah.
Maybe it will be during either Forest Hills or Field Division.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, I don't fully disagree with the potential that they drop Alien Metal that weekend of the Forest Hills shows. I think that's very possible, especially because we're only 2 weeks away from it now, and the album's not out yet, and they're doing a full rave show, so I assume they're going to play those songs. But the Billy Strings thing, I think that's a bit of a reach, but I think it's a fun idea. We still don't even know for sure that they were working on an album with him, but there were appearances, obviously, of them together in the studio and kind of noodling around, so I don't know, but goddamn, that would really catch us off guard if that happened. Would be so cool if Billy was there at all, though. Obviously, we know he's friends with the guys, and they have a good relationships there. So I don't know. Only time will tell, but some fun ideas there.
Connor P says, I'm doing all of FOV. I really hope to connect with a community outside of my small town. I'm really hoping to catch every band that is playing, though it's probably not feasible. One hope that I have, far-fetched as it is an appearance of at least one of the members of Tool for a Gizzard song. I can just imagine something like The Dripping Tap with Maynard on vocals, or Flamethrower with Danny Carey on the Skins. Whoa, baby.
Another big dream right here, back to back.
Who's to say? Dripping Tap with Maynard? That would fuck so hard.
Big Wig 4200, just doing 3 nights at Forest Hills, Sands, K-Bridge, gotta work early Monday morning. Streaming FOV, hoping for a Joey sit-in with Blood Incantation. Hot take, stream rules everything around me. Yes, I love the streams. We're really excited to follow along with the streaming of FOV, as we will not be attending either. And as far as the Joey sit-in with Blood Incantation, Spencer, that was an idea you mentioned earlier. Could be potentially really cool for him to, do some synthy stuff with them or something. I think you were talking about that.
Yeah, this was actually the comment where I got that idea from. That was not an original idea of my own, so I will not.
Okay.
I will not take credit for that. But I did kind of cite it as, oh yeah, it would be cool if it does indeed happen.
Okay, gotcha. Next, Strange Gamma Rays says, hitting FOV and all New York shows. It's a bucket list item to see Gizz in Australia, maybe next year when all my PTO isn't going to US shows. Yeah, doing all of FOV and New York is already probably quite a strain on the wallet and the time off that you need to do all of that. So, but good for you. Glad you're making those shows happen at least, and hope to hear from you about your FOV experience.
Yeah, and I feel you on the PTO part, burning a lot of PTO. I've already seen Muse this year. I'm seeing Rush the night before the Gizz Rave show. So yeah, the struggle is real here in the States. Okay, on to our friend Noel Midnight of Midnights with the Lizard Wizard. FOV, they're going to Field Division. Hoping to hear a lot of Butterfly 3000. All right, good pick. Some Alien Metal debuts and maybe a slight taste of Bluegrass, maybe? I'm also very excited for Blood Incantation, D-Spits, and to meet more trans weirdos. Yeah, hope you enjoy, Noel. Glad you're making it out to Field Division as you're still making your way through the discography. You and Yael are on your show currently. Hope you have the best time.
Yeah, I'm so excited to hear about their experience. I hope the two of you do a full episode breaking down Field Division because the two of them have never seen Gizz live. If you don't know already, their whole podcast, and we did a sort of a collaborative episode with them a few months back. Their whole podcast is going through the Gizz discography in order and doing an episode of their show every time they listen and, take notes on a new album. So they haven't heard all of the discography yet. They are certainly not caught up to the point where they're ready for the new Alien Metal stuff. But Field Division, I think, is going to be really interesting for the two of you, hearing songs that you've never heard before, but also getting to hear a lot of great stuff that you've come to love through, what you've listened to already. So I'm excited for your perspective on that. Michaela D says, all of NYC, hoping for Butterfly 3000 and Murder of the Universe. Yes, please to both of those. Last year was great. My husband and I attended Philly for the Phantom Island debut, and I was chasing Dripping Tap, which was the random song between orchestral sets.
Bingo.
Yes, it was. Merriweather was also incredible with the Ambi and Joey duel. Zach and I love listening to Gizz together, and the live streams have been on regular date nights when the kiddo, who is 7 and loves Gizz too, falls asleep. I'm beyond excited for this year's mom and dad getaway, especially K-Bridge. Seems like a really cool venue, and I'm hoping for a surprise alien metal debut. Ooh, and a Mind Fuzz suite. That would be the cherry on top. Yeah, I love all of your thoughts there, Michaela. Looking forward to, happy for you that you're getting a nice little Gizz getaway from the kids and stuff. So, yeah, enjoy the shows, and hope to see you there for Rave Night.
Next up is Ganymede Princess with a tongue of death, who says,
Nice
driving
name.
to FOV from Arkansas. This will be our second time. That's a long drive. Wow, drive safe. I have social anxiety, so really hoping to make more friends this year and do more things. Really looking forward to seeing if they do anything with alien metal. I'm sure they will, of course. And as far as making more friends, this community is so incredible and open and inviting, so I really have high hopes for you that you will make a couple of new friends and have some cool people to hang out with for the duration of the festival. Again, so jealous of everybody going, but, long-lasting memories to be had for all, even beyond all the music. And finally, wrapping up our Instagram comments, Matt from Wales. Good to hear from you, Matt. Matt says, making the pilgrimage to FOV, met so many amazing American fans coming over to Europe the last 2 years, so it's about time we party on their home turf. Very excited to reunite with them. Also, my biggest chase of Head on Pill is probably a guarantee for FOV, so I will finally get that on my 17th, 18th, or 19th show. Damn! It was the first track I ever heard from them back in 2016, so it'll be a full circle moment. Love as always, Matt from Wales. P.S. I'll have a big-ass dragon flag on our vehicle in West Camping if people want to come say hello to myself at Hell's Stitch. So look for Matt from Wales with the, I assume by dragon flag you mean the Welsh flag that you kind of give as a sign-off in all your comments, which I love so much. Matt, keep it up.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. But one of the best flags out there for sure.
It
Love
is
the Welsh
beautiful.
flag.
Yeah, thanks again, Matt, and thank you all who commented on Instagram. We have some Bluesky comments now to round things up on the comments side. Joe, you want to kick us off on the Bluesky?
Sure, yeah, just 4 to go from Bluesky, and that'll wrap up our listener messages here, starting with Agent Mothman, who is formerly known as King Shrimpo and the Nonagon Wizard, gone through a name change here, so nice to hear from you once again. Although I've never been to a Gizz show before, I've seen live videos of the concerts, and they look super awesome sauce. I would love to see them someday, and I am also really excited about their new album. You have never seen Gizz live? Oh my god, we got to figure out what to do to get you out there. I don't know where you're from, so I don't know if maybe you are outside of the U.S., or if you are in the U.S., maybe getting to New York or Colorado is too much of a task to try to make happen. So if you're not seeing them at all this year, I am sorry, but at least you have the streams. Watch the streams, enjoy all the hype, and live vicariously through everybody that's going to be there. Like we said, we're only attending one of these shows this year, and I wish I could see them more, but it's tough. It's tough. You need a lot of time and money to make it work. KGLW of the Day says, I'll be at FOV and the 4 NYC shows, hoping for Lonely Steel and Melting Bust Outs. Yeah, that would be super cool. Anticipating huge versions of Magma, Hypertension, and or The River at FOV. Never been to New York City, and I'm excited to visit. That's awesome. Please enjoy FOV and all those shows. You're kind of on the opposite end of the spectrum of our last message. You're going to all of these damn things. So enjoy all of it. Enjoy every minute of it. And I hope between all those shows, you get to hear all the songs that you're hoping for. Timeland is Wacky, who is one of the big contributors to KGLW.net, which we appreciate their work very much. Thank you for reaching out. They said, all of NYC, smoke and mirrors with a fingers crossed emoji. Perihelion would also be great. Hearing Dragon and Crumbling Castle with the orchestra was sick. Hot take, Gaia is a bathroom break tune, overplayed. Ooh, that is a hot take. I kind of see what you mean. I like Gaia, and we did get to hear that one at Forest Hills last year, and it was hype. It was exciting. It was early on in the set, from what I remember, and sure, I guess it's not one of my absolute favorites. When it comes to their heavier songs, there's a lot of other ones that I love much more. So okay, you could have picked something way more divisive and terrible. So Gaia, okay, I'll give you that.
Quetzalcoatlus Wellness Institute is our final commenter today, and they said, gonna be at Oz shows at Thirul and Horton Pavilion, and then the rave show that same night. I really wished I saw a Nathan set with a rock show, but that may be a thing of the past now, I wonder. Could be. Can't wait. Thirul is like 1,200 capacity, and a few friends from down there are going to that one. Not many shows that small for Gizz these days. Went to 2 orchestra and 2 rock shows all in Sydney last year. First time I ever saw Gizz was with an orchestra, which is pretty mad. I saw another band at the Opera House a year and a half before, and I thought Gizz could do that. Within a few weeks, they announced they were going to do Phantom Island, and I thought for sure they're going to be doing that at the Sydney Opera House eventually. 4 nights in a row of Gizz was amazing. That last night's rock concert opener blew me away, was with 2 bros and nephew who was at his first gig ever. Awesome. Seeing Cavs doing his version of a soundtrack for Memento with a friend at the end of August, too. We haven't talked about that on the show yet, but that's a cool little thing happening off to the side lately.
Yeah.
My friend only showed me the movie Memento at the start of the year, so that is serendipity, too. Things like that seem to happen a lot when following such a giving and creative band like King Gizzard. Have fun, everyone, in the U.S. at Forest Hills and Field of Vision. Looking forward to streaming the shows. Gizz season is upon us again. It's almost like they anticipated my poem there. Gizz season is upon us again.
Yes, they did. Another bit of serendipity, speaking of that word, and a perfect way, I think, to end this long chunk of listener messages that we've gotten here. Gizz season is upon us again.
Thank you again to all who commented today. If you want to get at us with any comments on the live shows coming up here, whether it's in the moment or after the fact, whatever, we would love to hear it. Hit us up on Instagram, Bluesky, and Facebook, or email us at potagoninfinity@gmail.com. Lest we forget, it's time for one more segment before we say goodbye. It's time for Most of What We Like.
Most of what we like.
Most of What We Like is the segment we do at the end of the show sometimes, but not always, highlighting things outside of the world of King Gizz that we've been enjoying lately. It could be anything from other artists to movies, shows, books, concerts we've attended lately, anything. So, Spencer, why don't you start us off? What is your Most of What We Like this week?
Okay, well, a couple of oddballs this week. I haven't had the chance to consume as much non-music media lately as I would have liked, so this is all going to be pretty much musically related here. I recently found a really cool subreddit called Songs That Feel Like This, and it's a really cool kind of forum where people will post a picture or a variety of pictures, like, let's say, songs that feel like this, and it'll show animated tropical settings, a beach, a city skyline lit up at night near a beach, things like that. Or it could be dark forest scenery, and basically people latch onto that and comment songs that evoke this type of scene or feeling. And I don't really have any specific things to grab from this, but there have been so many cool songs that I have found through some of the commenters on these posts. So definitely check out the subreddit Songs That Feel Like This, because when you're just having when you're in a specific mood or want a specific vibe of music and it's just not searchable, you can't just search, I want to feel like I'm in the middle of a dark forest and there's fog everywhere, or I want to feel like I'm at the beach at night sipping a cocktail. You can scroll through this thread and find almost every vibe imaginable. It's so cool. It can open so many musical doors for you. And then just in a general sense, I've been listening to a lot of Muse and Rush lately. I talked about on the show, I think it was the very last episode, my wife and I saw Muse in concert in Camden, New Jersey, right over the river from Philly, and they were phenomenal. They're on their current tour and supporting The Wow Signal, which is the title of their latest album. In my opinion, I've mentioned they returned to form. They're kind of back to their big, grandiose, but still well-written, not overly cheesy song structures. Matt's vocals sound fantastic. Dom and Chris performed beautifully as well. It was such a good time. I would definitely go see them again. And then I mentioned, of course, that I'm seeing Rush along with my brother Evan, who's going to be joining us, as I mentioned also, for the King Gizz Rave Night. So we're going to kind of go back-to-back Rush and Gizz on that Friday and Saturday. Listening to a lot of Rush in preparation for the 50-something tours they're billing it, because Rush has been around forever, and they're kind of leaning into the tongue-in-cheek we don't want to count exact numbers, but we've been around for 50-something years.
Right.
And I am so looking forward to that at the Wells Fargo Xfinity Mobile, whatever the fuck they call it in Philly, right next to the stadiums.
Yes.
Cannot wait. That's going to be such a good time. Again, scratching my classic rock itch. Rush near and dear to my heart, and I think I'm going to have some stuff to say after the fact on a future episode. So that's about all I've been into lately that's non-Gizz. Joe, how about you?
Speaking of electronic Australian music, I want to give some love to the artist Nina Geraci. I was introduced through a friend to her earlier this year. She's an EDM artist. I don't know exactly how to compare her music to other artists or not, but if you're into like electronic music and EDM and stuff, I think you'll really like her. She's certainly got her own style and flair and is so much fun. She is, like I said, also Australian, but she is not from Melbourne. She is from the Central Coast in New South Wales, which is a little bit north of Sydney. Her most recent album, I Love My Computer, was released last year, and it's just fantastic. I can't recommend checking it out enough if you're looking for some new kind of fun, upbeat, super hype Australian electronic music and EDM. Check her out. Check that album out. It's absolutely fantastic. And another artist, mine is also music themed today. It's all music as well, two artists. Another artist I want to give some love to, which a guy that tragically, very, very tragically passed away this past June, Oliver Tree. Oh, yeah. Oliver was, God, how do I even begin to describe this guy if you don't know who he is? Oliver was an extremely eclectic, artistic, visionary, just one-of-a-kind artist in many different facets. You know, outside of music, he also like directed and came up with all the ideas for his own videos and had these elaborate stage performances and tours, and just a super interesting guy and an incredibly funny guy as well that, you know, never took things too seriously and was always spreading the message of self-love and loving yourself and, you know, loving the things that make you unique. And he was just a really great guy, and he unfortunately at only the age of 32 passed away in June in a helicopter accident in Brazil. And he's someone that I've known about for a long time. I was never like super deep in following all his music, and I never got to see him live, but I knew about him through his appearance as a frequent guest on the H3 podcast, and he actually appeared on a lot of podcasts, and there's a lot of funny, like, great interviews with a whole bunch of different people from all different sort of backgrounds that have had him on their show. And he was always just a funny, super funny guy to watch in interviews. And since his passing, I have dug more into his discography and found a lot of songs of his that I really love. To shout out a couple of my favorite songs of his for anyone that hasn't heard him before, maybe wants to check out some of his music. Miss You is amazing. Hurt, Let Me Down, I'm Gone. These are just a few songs from his most played that I have listened to a lot and really, really enjoyed. So his music style is kind of all over the place, little mixes of pop and alt rock and electronic and just in general, just like fun, kind of really unique, different pop music, basically. And he really did like to explore with different sounds and styles. So just a really interesting, artistic, creative, amazing person. Really unfortunate end to him there, but there was also a big memorial recently for him that was live streamed, and I watched that whole thing. It was like heartfelt and so fucking funny at the same time, because like the people that put it together were his family and his closest friends and collaborators. And so they knew his sense of humor. They made it goofy and over the top. And even at some point, some of the speakers were like straight up roasting him in a lot of ways. And it was fun and sweet at the same time. So anyway, yeah, peace and love to Oliver and his family. And yeah, check him out if you haven't before.
Okay, beautiful stuff. Yeah, rest in peace, Oliver Tree. I'm definitely going to be checking out some of his music. I'm glad he's provided some stuff that you enjoyed, Joe, so I'm definitely going to explore some of that. If you listeners have anything you want to share with us, media, content-wise you've been enjoying, please shoot it our way at all the socials. Again, Instagram, Bluesky, Facebook, or polygoninfinity@gmail.com. As for next time on the show, with things being so in flux right now as far as the timeline of the release of Alien Metal, Field Division, and Forest Hills coming up, we're not really sure what that whole release cycle is going to look like as far as where the album may fit in with the tour. So our next episode may be on kind of our live show reactions, which we've done before, or it may be kind of an Alien Metal first impressions episode, or even a hybrid. Like, who knows? Could be a big whopper.
Yeah.
We will kind of update you on the socials as we figure it out in real time. So stay tuned on all the socials. More to come. We're very excited. Just don't know where it all fits in well, so stay tuned.
As always, thank you for listening to Podagon Infinity, and thank you for keeping it weird and doing your part to spread the good word of the Gizz. Take care of yourselves and each other, and we'll see you in the next episode. Later, Gators!
Woo!